sports. It's in the game.
It is time for the curtain call in F1 2021. Last orders. Welcome to round 20, the final round of the season here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for the annual running of the end of the Formula 1 season. The only day to night transition race on the calendar remains unchanged, surprisingly, with 21 corners and 3.4 miles. 2 DRS zones. This was supposed to be the year that some new changes were introduced, with changes to the hairpins, with the chicanes being taken out. But Abu Dhabi and the track makers have decided to wait till the arrival of the new cars next year and gauge the performances of the first rounds of 2022 as to whether they need to change it or not. So everyone is in a pretty relaxed mood, no real title decider this season. The only real matter to be settled is who will finish 8th between HAAS and Alfa Romeo, with Alfa Romeo 13 points behind HAAS in the constructors standings. They need a miracle, quite frankly. They need a double points finish of maybe 3rd and 4th, maybe just to even have a shot at this point. 3rd would on its own would be enough, but I don't think we're going to see the Alfa Romeos that far up the field, considering their tail end of the season. So, for the final time, let's run through the grid. Sergio Perez took a surprise pole position ahead of the world champion Valtteri Bottas on the front row. Lewis Hamilton lines up alongside Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc lines up alongside Fernando Alonso. Sebastian Vettel goes alongside Max Verstappen, who took pole but suffered yet another grid penalty. Lando Norris is with Nicholas Latifi, completed with top 10. That could turn to be crucial for Williams. Yuki Tsunoda is alongside Aiden Jackson on row 6 as Jackson once again benefits from grid penalty plethoras. Kimi Raikkonen and Daniel Ricciardo are 12th and 13th and 14th. That's Stroll and Gasly then 15th and 16th. Mick Schumacher once again just has no luck in grid penalty gains. He's alongside Antonio Giovinazzi, Esteban Ocon and George Russell. Complete your grid of 20 for the final round of the 2021 season. Well, we say it could be crucial for Nicholas Latifi. It could be in terms of just getting a point. They're not going to really beat HAAS or Alfa Romeo in front of them unless they win the race, which is very unlikely, unfortunately, to be fair.
Okay, radio check, Aiden. Loud and clear, Jeff. Loud and clear. Copy that. Well, we know it's been tough for you, mate. It's been great to have you. We know that this may be your last race for us. So before you line up, we just want to thank you and Mick for your tremendous efforts this season. We're hoping for a decent end to the year. We'll keep you posted on what Alfa Romeo are doing. Obviously, we're 13 points clear of them in the constructors at the moment. We need to just keep our fingers crossed. We know that it's going to be difficult for you. This hasn't been a track that you're very fond of, I'm sure. But, well, from the bottom of all our hearts, mate, thank you for a tremendous effort this season. You've been just amazing. And if you do move on, we wish you all the success for the future. We'll obviously tell you this at the end of the race as well.
For the time being. Conditions looking good.
Just thank you, mate. You've been tremendous. Thanks, Jeff. Don't believe what you hear all the time. I really should be thanking you guys, taking me on board. I understand that I was a bit of a risk. I would say we've paid off. But thank you and to Gunther for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's make this last one a good one. Over and out, Aiden. Good luck, mate.
You just have to love how feet on the ground Aiden Jackson is. A very grounded really response there, and I think HAAS have pretty much confirmed the fact that Jackson will not be in their car next year. I think they've pretty much accepted that at this point. Whether it's to go to another team or not remains to be seen, but as we said in the practice session, Mercedes will be working very closely with Jackson in the off-season to get a deal on the board as they line up on the grid for the final time in Formula 1 in 2021. It may be relaxed, but it's not time to party yet. There are the 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. The green flag is in the back. It is lights out. Where we go for the final time of 2021. And it looks like Valtteri Bottas has got a good start. He's going to be alongside Perez in the first corner. And there was almost contact there, but there wasn't. And the champion has taken the lead. Valtteri Bottas leads from Sergio Perez. And Bottas didn't really look to get off the line really well, but he did in the second phase of the start. He nailed it, and he's down the inside of Perez and into the lead. The world champion is leading by example yet again at the front. And looking further down the order, Aiden Jackson has already moved up into 10th place, displacing Nicholas Latifi of his position. So there could be one more point in it for HAAS to get this year. And we have to keep you on the status of the Alfa Romeos. They're currently 16th and 17th. Giovinazzi has got a pretty good start, I think, because he's beaten both Schumacher and Raikkonen ahead, but they've got a long way to go before they can even think about challenging HAAS for the Constructors' Championship position of 8th position. And speaking of which, Aiden Jackson is 10th, so another great start by Aiden Jackson to get himself into 10th place, but this isn't a track he's really been good at. He was only 12th in the practice session at Mercedes, so I think that really proves that it's going to be a tough race for him. There's Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo going side by side for about 3 corners already. We have some great side-by-side racing this season, and Yuki Tsunoda has made a couple of really good passes this year. He will definitely be Rookie of the Year in the point as well as the points are concerned. I think Aiden Jackson has already taken that distinction for his just tremendous all-round performance this season. Charles Leclerc there in 3rd, I think he's got ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So Charles Leclerc has a good first lap. And let's see the start then. So this is the start from the pole sitter. And he just doesn't really... He doesn't actually get off too badly, Perez. But it's... Oh, I think there might have been a brush on Bottas' side pod there. Surprisingly, Bottas isn't going to come in for damage. It'll be alright, I think. But it was... yeah, it was Bottas that definitely gained the best of the start. And of course, once again, we're going to have a look at the start here from Jackson. And he doesn't get off particularly well, but he does his vintage dive bomb into turn 1 and passes Latifi. He'd actually been ahead of, I think it was alongside, I'm not sure he was alongside, but he passed him already. It was probably Tsunoda there. So he passed him and then passed Latifi in the first corner as they come up to the end of lap 2. So DRS is enabled now. Now we're going to see some real speed down the straights possibly. George Russell has already gone ahead of Esteban Ocon. At the back, Mick Schumacher currently in 18th for HAAS, and the Alfa Romeos still 16th and 17th. That will not be enough for them in the Constructors' battle, and well, it's probably going to be a race of kind of the usual at the front, and Valtteri Bottas, the champion, leading by example. Now, how much can Perez close with DRS here? He seems to have got quite close, to be fair. And we cut away. And we cut away to Max Verstappen, who's currently in 9th. I think he lost a position there. We're going to see the first real battle since Spain between Aiden Jackson and Nicholas Latifi. Remember, these two went through turn 3, 4 and 5 at Spain side by side, producing fantastic side-by-side racing, in which Aiden Jackson was one of the races of the many that he'd announced his arrival, so to speak. And we'll see what he can do here. He's already having to cut to the inside there. So obviously this dusk, well, it's not daylight to night time. It's a transition from dusk to night, I would say, rather than daylight. Because it is pretty much evening here now. It's always a wonderful spectacle occasion, Abu Dhabi. A lot of people do say the track needs changing. That won't be happening this year. It's going to be taking out the initial first chicane. It's going to be a straight line into the hairpin at turn 5. And we've already got the Jackson train forming behind him. And it'll be interesting to see what Max Verstappen can do. Red Bull are going for their 4th win in a row after dominating the last 3 in Mexico, USA with Max Verstappen, Mexico City with Max Verstappen. Actually, they could be going for their 5th in a row, actually. Let's think back as Nicholas Latifi battles with Pierre Gasly, who's passed Yuki Tsunoda. And now he'll get DRS. Jackson will be defenseless. And there was Sergio Perez going around the outside of Bottas as Perez takes back the lead. So the Red Bull certainly can hang with the Mercedes, and Charles Leclerc is trying to hang in as well. He's going to go round the inside, and then it's very close. Charles Leclerc being brave. Bottas not able to get him. Or was that Hamilton? Oh, Bottas did get back ahead of him. It was Hamilton that was kind of closing in the chicane. Was there contact there? Maybe. I think it was very close there, to be fair. But what a move by Perez. Back into the lead on the soft tyres, as is Bottas. So whoever leads will probably win this race. This is looking very close through there. If he can keep that close going to the first DRS zone, he might even... And Perez is pitting. Perez is in the pits. And I wonder if this is for front wing damage. Charles Leclerc is coming in as well. That's Carlos Sainz, in fact. No, it is Charles Leclerc. I was almost certain there was damage to Leclerc's car, and there was damage to Perez's car as well. So a couple of close calls for Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez, and that's their race is ruined. And Valtteri Bottas now has a clean run to the flag, and Max Verstappen has moved up to 7th. But that's because Perez and Leclerc have already pitted. And looking at Verstappen is on the medium tyres here. He could actually win this race from that position. Let's see how much he closes on Lando Norris ahead, who has DRS, so it'll be pretty even. But Max is on the best strategy here. He may have only been 8th, but he started on medium tyres, so it's a masterstroke by Red Bull. Let's hope Max can make it work. So going back to the story earlier, I think Red Bull were on for their 5th win in a row. They dominated USA with Max Verstappen. They dominated Mexico City with Max Verstappen. Then Sergio Perez took... and contact between Latifi and Tsunoda. There's all sorts of racing going on here. But yes, Perez won at Brazil, and then... I think it was actually it was USA than Brazil, wasn't it? But either way, the winner is still the same, and that's Gasly battling Ricciardo. It looked like Gasly had suffered a tap there from Ricciardo. There's all sorts of contact going on in these first laps. Hopefully everyone has gone through unscathed. But then, of course, to continue with the story, then Max Verstappen dominated in Saudi Arabia. So Red Bull were on for their 5th win in a row. But it doesn't look like they'll be getting that today, at least with Perez, who is at the back of the field. He is currently 18th ahead of Leclerc and chasing George Russell. Max Verstappen could still win it from here, though, if he keeps up with those ahead on the medium tyres. Of course, if he stays behind Norris too long, it'll affect the life of his tyres. So it's kind of a double whammy for Max, where it's kind of a double-edged sword, should we say, for Max Verstappen. Up there in 7th position, but he's already got clear of the Jackson train that's forming behind him. And it's not like, well, Jackson may be forming a train, but it's not like he's intentionally doing it. The HAAS has definitely got less of the power. The Ferrari power unit, as we said, makes up for a lot of deficiencies in the car. But now Jackson could be under threat from Tsunoda. Bit of a battle with the rookies here. And had to have this season. And Tsunoda going to fly up the inside of Jackson. I guess Jackson's not really going to fight it. We can't really see from back here. There we go. That's a better camera. Well, Jackson did hang it in against Tsunoda, because of course he did. Jackson's a lot more in the mood for this one, rather than he was in Mexico City and Saudi Arabia, where the car just didn't have a chance of getting anywhere near anybody, really. We've got a bit of a scrap forming in the mid-pack with Sebastian Vettel. What was with that camera? I didn't know what was going on. Tsunoda's passed Latifi, and Latifi's gone off. That'd be why. And that would be why Tsunoda's passed Latifi. He went off the track. So I wonder if there was contact there. Hopefully we'll get a replay. There was someone else being moved there. I think it was Jackson getting passed by Tsunoda. So Tsunoda's doing brilliantly at the moment. To be fair. Oh no, not quite. And here's a replay. It's Latifi. So we're going to know how he went off the track. He had DRS on Tsunoda. He was much faster than Tsunoda down the straight, considering they both had DRS. Tsunoda's almost off the track there. Latifi goes for a move inside of Jackson. That's not on. And a bit of a misjudgment there by Latifi, and then he hits Tsunoda and spins himself. So that all started from Latifi making a pretty risky move on Jackson, to be fair. That was never really on with the space always closing. And once again, Jackson seems to be in the wars with people having a target on his car, and he's going to lose out to Tsunoda here, most likely. And there is a gap through there, and Jackson made the most of it. And he holds on to P8 now. Which is probably where he was before. And the AlphaTauris are swarming all over Aiden Jackson at the moment. Gasly has to back out of it completely and has been passed by Lance Stroll. Tsunoda has made the best of it as Bottas comes in already for the medium tyres. It's a very early stop from the champion and the race leader. Hamilton will now soon be leading from Carlos Sainz in second place and Sebastian Vettel in third. So a couple of really good performances in these early stages from Sainz and Vettel. Here Gasly's in the pits. This is all during the Jackson trade. So who this might help out would be Perez and Leclerc. And it's a tyre stop for Gasly, so there was no contact there, so he'll be straight back out on the medium tyres. Now we've got Lance Stroll all over Aiden Jackson again. We've seen this a lot this year. And I think it really proves why Aston Martin might be in the market for Aiden Jackson if they can get him. Of course, we know from the Friday session that there will be plenty of discussions in the off-season in getting Jackson a deal of sorts. Even if he does have to be demoted back to reserve driver for Mercedes. Alongside Bottas and Hamilton. Because we know that the drivers will stick, most likely. Unless Mercedes do decide to strike a deal elsewhere. Could Jackson be in that car perhaps? I very much doubt it. But you never know. Well, the interesting thing here is that the Alfa Romeos are actually benefiting from this. They're actually 13th and 14th now. But Perez has already cleared them. So Perez is absolutely flying on this stint. It's a shame he lost his front wing. Max Verstappen's now up to 4th. He's not ready to do a lot of passing. But now he's up to 2nd. This is actually working out sweetly for Max Verstappen. As Hamilton goes onto the soft tyres. It's an interesting strategy call there from Mercedes. He gets back out ahead of Sainz. He's on the medium tyres. So, interesting strategy here. Hamilton going for a second set of softs. And that might help him in his battle against Verstappen. Verstappen really needs to clear Vettel sooner rather than later. Perez is coming in again. Well, his race has been totally ruined. He's coming on the same lap as Jackson. He's only going for his first stop. And Perez is having another front wing change. What happened to Perez? He's been in the wars today. Another front wing change by Perez. What is going on there at Red Bull? I hope they've got some spares because Perez is going through front wings like nobody's business in this race. He obviously might have had some contact with one of the Alfa Romeos he was passing because he was ahead of them at one point. So, that's interesting. And it's race ruined for Sergio Perez. He's definitely out of the running now. So this is the most interesting scrap on the track. Verstappen currently 12 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas. And he needs to pass Vettel sooner rather than later. And they're on the same tyres. So Vettel and Verstappen are going longer on the medium tyres for this first stint. Hamilton's going to have to pit again. I don't think the softs are going to make it to the end of the race, so he's going to have to pit later on. So Mercedes going for a two-stop strategy with Hamilton. What did he do with Bottas? I think he was on the mediums, wasn't he? Towards the back, and Aiden Jackson is now in his more expected position, let's say, after that stop, being chased by Tsunoda and the George Russell. I thought it was Latifi, but Latifi's right at the back now, following that excursion onto the grass. He might have had some damage. He might have to replace his front wing in that. So, here we go then. Max Verstappen looking very close to Sebastian Vettel, which is a crucial move for the race lead here. This could be actually for the net race lead. It'd be wonderfully worked by Verstappen if he can make it. And Mercedes might have been caught out. They're hoping that Sebastian Vettel will do the job here, but he won't. Verstappen going around the outside, side by side into the chicane. And very close, but I think they got away with it. And Verstappen, was he behind him in the detection zone? He might have been. No, it was Vettel. So will Vettel come back at the Red Bull? And the answer is no. So the question will now be, did Verstappen have any damage from Vettel? I don't think so. I think it was very close, but I think Verstappen will get away with it. And now Tsunoda is chasing Jackson as we enter the 10th lap of this race. And a quick update on the Alfa Romeos. There they are, 9th and 10th. That would not be enough. That would only give them 3 points. They need another 10. Is they even going to challenge HAAS at this point? Need a miracle. Alfa Romeo, they've had a scruffy end to the year, to say the least. Perez alongside George Russell. And that's going to be clean as you like from Perez. And he's up to 17th now. And Vettel has repassed Verstappen. Or is Verstappen pitting? Verstappen's pitting, so he pitted first out of the two. So that might help Vettel here. Has he got the pace to win this race? Sebastian Vettel's not won a race since 2019. Maybe even before then, actually. And Tsunoda going down the inside of Jackson there. And I think, and he's struggling. And he's pulling to the side here. And Yuki Tsunoda was out of this race then. And was there contact with Jackson? Let's have a look here on the replay. Oh, he outbroke himself. There's nothing Jackson did wrong there. Jackson was on the racing line. Tsunoda came in too hot. And he's actually out of the race completely. So I wonder if he had other problems. But that's our first DNF of the race then. And it's Yuki Tsunoda out of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it's been a decent year for AlphaTauri overall. Now the question will be how long Vettel can go compared to Bottas and Hamilton and Sainz behind. And the answer is only a lap, because then he comes into the pit lane. So Bottas will now assume the lead. Hamilton will beat him, as will Sainz as well. He might come out around Verstappen. And if he does come out ahead of Verstappen, that might ruin his race. So the medium tyres going on to Vettel's car. Here is Verstappen. And he's easily cleared Sebastian Vettel, as he's not even off the pit lane limiter yet. Wonderful pit lane backdrop in Abu Dhabi. One of my favourite pit lanes under a bridge. And you basically kind of cross the track underneath. An awesome section. So, it is a split strategy then at Mercedes, because Bottas is on the medium tyres then. So, for all intents and purposes, what should happen now is that Bottas should really make way for Lewis Hamilton and give him a clear track. And Max Verstappen, yeah, he cleared Vettel. So now he's chasing Alonso, who is right behind, I believe, at the moment. In fact, he could be online to pass him. So it'll be interesting to see what Mercedes do here. They've got equal drivers. Bottas is, of course, the champion, so he probably gets champion advantage in the team. But Hamilton's on a different strategy. And Max Verstappen also went with the soft tyres, but he pitted later than Hamilton did. So that's interesting. So Max will have newer tyres than the Mercedes ahead, and Bottas is on the mediums. So Max just needs to pass these cars as quick as he can to make this work. You can see what Red Bull are doing. So the Alfa Romeos have dropped back out of the points. Giovinazzi in 13th and Kimi Räikkönen in 15th behind Jackson. So it's all a question now of how quickly Max can clear the 3 ahead. Because Sainz is only 2 seconds up the road from Lando Norris. What's vital here is that Alonso will he have DRS? No, he won't. And Max will pull to the outside. It's going to be an easy move. Renault power unit, probably the weakest on the grid overall. And Max makes easy work of it and up into P5. Now if he can pass Norris in this second section, this will really give him a shot. His DRS open. But the Merc in the back of that power unit in the back of that Mercedes is much more powerful than the Renault engine in the Alpine. So Max will have to wait his chance. The man who's really benefited from this, Carlos Sainz, up in P3. And where could Charles Leclerc have been if he not suffered the damage earlier to his front wing? So now we've got Kimi Räikkönen here, or who is that? Is that Giovinazzi passing Jackson? It's Räikkönen passing Jackson. I don't think Jackson will fight too hard. Kimi took too much curve there. It's going to give Jackson the advantage and he took it. So now is Hamilton closing in on Bottas? I think he is, but he's not doing it by much. He's 1.3 behind him at the moment. As this race is going to its kind of feeling out phase, if you like. I think the question is, will Mercedes actually get Bottas to the end on those mediums? I'm not sure. Now, Max has spent almost half a lap behind Norris. Now he'll have DRS. Norris will have nothing to defend. He goes to the middle of the track. Max goes to the outside again. That's his favourite spot. And he's taken it easily. Well, Max Verstappen dominated this race back in 2019, or actually in 2020. He dominated it from the end, and it was all kind of maybe supposed to be the green light for a title chance this season, but the reliability has killed Red Bull's year. As George Russell comes in for another set of mediums, and a front wing change for George Russell as well, so he's been in the wars. We've had a lot of drivers in the wars today, and having front wing changes. It's kind of stabilised between Bottas and Hamilton at the front. 1.4. Charles has made his way up to P8. Considering he was towards the back at the start, that's a very good effort. Perez is at a second front wing change, of course. Now, what are they going to do at HAAS? Are they going to swap positions? I wouldn't be surprised. Jackson's not looked at it on this set of tyres. See the move is choreographed here at HAAS. Schumacher's had a very decent end to the year, to be fair. He's been much closer ahead of Jackson in a lot of the races in the tail end of the season, so Schumacher's come good. He almost tried to move around the outside there. That's a bold move. I wonder if Jackson's looking for a spot to move aside. He is. There he goes. So Jackson realising that Schumacher is the faster car and lets him go. It's not really going to do much in terms of points for Mick Schumacher. He's probably been very unlucky not to score points this year. He had those best chances at Spa of all places. But the rain had dried up, and really HAAS is light and day behind everyone in a straight line, or even in the corners in the dry. But of course there's going to be no rain in this race. We have had rain at Abu Dhabi before. We have had showers. I think it was 2019, the year Nico Hulkenberg was hanging out of his car after being flipped by Romain Grosjean, unintentionally of course. Valtteri Bottas controlling things at the front, just 1.5 clear of Hamilton. And Max Verstappen now has somewhat a clear track ahead of him, but he needs to really make inroads on Sainz where he's got it. Otherwise his strategy could go kaput. But Hamilton will have to pit earlier than him because Max pitted later for another set of softs. So they eked out the first set of softs, Red Bull. And of course you have to use 2 dry compound tyres in a dry race, of course. Not forgetting that either. And that's Valtteri Bottas going very slowly. Oh, is that an injury problem for Bottas? The world champion who's led the race. And he's put to the side. And that is Bottas out of this race. And one of the very few times that the car has let Valtteri Bottas down this season. And ironically, it's at the end of the season when it doesn't even matter. But Mercedes will still take it. So now Lewis Hamilton leads this race by 2 seconds for Carlos Sainz and hard-charging Max Verstappen. Isn't Sainz on the mediums? So if he is, then Verstappen should be really catching him a lot quicker than he is. We set up a very interesting race now. Max Verstappen could be in line to win this race, because Hamilton will have to stop earlier than Max will on tyre life. Sainz, however, he might not get to the end of the race on the mediums. So this might all be working out for Max Verstappen at the moment. He started 8th. He's now 3rd and could be in the leader's race before too long. Well, an absolute surprise with Valtteri Bottas as Hamilton comes in already. So Hamilton's strategy has gone kaput now. Now, how far can Max go on these tyres? He'll be sort of affected by the dirty air of Carlos Sainz. I think that's one of the things why we can't wait for these new cars. The dirty air is going to be mitigated by a lot. I think it's going to be 40%. Is the calculation. Maybe 45. So everyone will be able to follow along more closely. I will mention Fernando Alonso sitting in 4th at the moment and Sebastian Vettel in 5th. As Hamilton's actually come up behind them. Of course they'll probably have to pit again as well. So now Sergio Perez is coming up alongside Aiden Jackson. It's probably going to be an easy move. Let's see how Jackson defends it. Perez has had a bit of a below par one. This one. He's on the soft tyres. Jackson's pulling out a gap to him. And Perez is in the pits again. And this is for a front wing change as well. I think it'll be the 3rd time that Perez has changed his front wing. And it is. Oh, this is unbelievable. Perez is going for a record then. That's 3 front wing changes for Perez. I wonder if he had a collision with Jackson. I wonder if it's the same scenario that Tsunoda had, where he pretty much outbroke himself. The HAAS can be very deceptive to other drivers because it's a lot slower than the others. And Jackson is driving the wheels off it. So Max has now closed within a second of Carlos Sainz. That is going to be DRS then for Max Verstappen when he comes round turn 6. Or it'll probably be turn 7. The chicane is 2 corners, of course. And what did Alonso put on there? We didn't really see. So Max is now 0.2 or 0.7. He'll close the gap, but I don't think he'll pass him. Ferrari B-Spec unit is very powerful in that Ferrari. This will probably put Max in prime position to pass Sainz on the 2nd straight. It's right there. This will be an open opportunity for Verstappen. This could be a crucial move then. Sainz is on the mediums. He's got a tight disadvantage. Max around the outside. And he sweeps round him. Brilliant stuff from Max Verstappen. He probably now assumes the actual race lead. Because Hamilton is... I think he's 8 seconds behind Vettel in it, or is it 6? So like we said, it's now a question of how far Max can go on those soft tyres, and will he come out ahead of Hamilton when he does pit? As George Russell gets ahead of Latifi. Max Verstappen is in. So that was maybe about 2-3 laps more than Hamilton. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Carlos Sainz assumes the lead. And Norris will assume 2nd. So the 2 new race winners for 2021 are going to be running 1-2. But the question will be, where is Verstappen? In fact, Norris has pitted, so Max doesn't have to worry about him. And Lewis has cleared Max easily. So Lewis has done a storming couple of laps. Max very slow out of the pits there. And he seems to be up to speed now. So Max's tyres will be newer than Lewis's on the mediums. So Hamilton will now assume the lead. He's had a storming couple of laps. Hammer time was definitely in effect on those out laps. So the question now, with just a few laps to go, is will Max Verstappen catch this man? Hamilton a long way ahead of Verstappen, to be fair. With Carlos Sainz and Vettel leading this race. No doubt Carlos Sainz... Well, Carlos Sainz was on the mediums, but I think he'll have to pit because he probably put it in them really early, didn't he? Vettel's an interesting wild card in this race. A very interesting wild card. Well, Sainz has dropped to second, so now Vettel leads. And there's Perez again. Is that Perez again in the pits? Oh my goodness, Sergio Perez. They might as well retire the car. Is that a full front wing change for Sergio Perez? If it is, that's... Poor Perez has been in the wars today. And there's Aiden Jackson having another lonely one at the back, but... Crucially for HAAS, Alfa Romeo are scoring for Antonio Giovinazzi in 9th at the moment. But that'll only give them 2 points, and Raikkonen's not scoring. He's up to 11th thanks to passing Charles Leclerc, who's most likely in the pits. Schumacher now comes into the pits as well. Vettel is gone on another lap, by the way. Is that Ferrari stuck in the pits? That's Charles Leclerc still in the pit lane. And he's left now. I wonder if he was having a front wing change. My goodness, we've had another round of those races where the front wings are being changed almost every lap. Oh, Schumacher came in so far behind Leclerc, now he can see him. Could he be driving one of those Ferraris in the future, Mick Schumacher? It would be very harsh on current evidence, because Sainz and Leclerc have driven brilliantly for the most part this weekend, as Perez has already let Max Verstappen lap him and is helped as well. Max Verstappen with the fastest lap of 1:37.6, and that's interesting. Max is absolutely storming it on the last couple of laps. Hamilton is coming up to lap somebody, I think. No, that's Sebastian Vettel he's chasing. So Vettel is still leading. His tyres are going to be much older than Lewis's tyres. But credit to Vettel, he's hanging it in there. The Aston Martin hasn't won a race since 2018, I believe. Been a long wait for Sebastian Vettel. Torrid talent for Ferrari last season. And he's definitely found his mojo today. I don't think it's going to be enough to hold off the might of the Mercedes car. And Max Verstappen coming up behind him. I think Verstappen is like a second behind Hamilton at the moment, so he's closing in. Vettel's going to have to do some defensive driving here. He's got a bit out of shape there. Sebastian Vettel. Really a story of what could have been for Sebastian Vettel. Should he be sitting on 6 world championships right now? A lot of people very critical of him, saying he bottled 2017, 2018, and to some degree that might be a valid point, especially in 2018 after Germany going off at the his home Grand Prix. Never really recovered. Such a shame. Of course, you make your own luck in this sport. And Hamilton always comes on strong at the end of seasons, but this season hasn't been the case. It's been a very bad season for Lewis Hamilton. I think that's probably going to be the biggest talking point of the year, to be fair. Just where has Lewis Hamilton been this year? Because he's not looked at it compared to Bottas. Of course, they infamously collided in Austria, didn't they? Hamilton lost his front wing. Alfa Romeo Giovinazzi in the pits, putting the soft tyres on. Alfa Romeo just gunning it, hoping to get at least some points on the board. They're not going to catch Alfa Romeo in this race. They need to be third or better, or they can do a 4 or 5 with Raikkonen in play, but Raikkonen's a long way out of play, to be fair, in 12th place. And I don't think it'll be long before Leclerc comes by them either. In fact, he might be a bit behind Raikkonen, to be fair. So with Vettel is now pitted, so now it's between Verstappen and Hamilton for the lead, legit then. And Verstappen is looking very quick at this moment. I think he's going for another fastest lap. Max Verstappen is absolutely flying on these tyres. And they're newer than Hamilton's as well, by about a lap or two. Can make all the difference as the sky starts to darken overhead and we start to have a night race of some kind, one of sorts. Close Verstappen is to Hamilton here. He's going to have DRS down the first straight. Yes, he is. And for once, the Red Bull is even with the Mercedes. In fact, I think it might even be faster. Where was this at the start of the year? It was there. The reliability is what killed Red Bull's season, to be fair. So here we go then. The first battle, side by side, one-on-one, between Verstappen and Hamilton since Portimao at the beginning of the year. And Spain, I think, as well. Spain was where Verstappen had swept past Hamilton to some degree, but Verstappen's car just hasn't lasted long enough to be in battles with Hamilton this season. Hamilton didn't turned out that Bottas was the man on the move anyway. And he proved it. He became the world champion. Fernando Alonso now sitting in P5. What a great effort from Alonso. Could be double points here for Alpine. Makes you wonder why Alonso's retiring, if that is the case. Look how close Verstappen is. He's clearly faster than Lewis on this track. Max Verstappen with such a high success rate here. Won in 2019, of course. No, in 2020. Sorry, I keep getting that wrong. It was definitely 2020 that Max won this race. And like we said earlier, everyone saw it as a green light. As Red Bull going to kickstart 2021 with a title challenge, with the cars being very much the same as they were in the previous year, with the new regulations delayed. And they could be delayed a further year yet, we don't know. There's going to be more talks over the off-season about it. Max Verstappen down the outside for the race lead, as easy as you like. Lewis Hamilton, he gave him the space, maybe gave him a bit too much space there. He's just not fighting him at all. It's someone like him. I think Lewis just wants to get to the end of his season. It's not been his best, to be fair, by a long chalk. And there is Esteban Ocon going slowly. And there was Pierre Gasly going by. So that's Ocon out of the race. And whoa! And that's Latifi spinning. He's off the road again. Latifi has spun it. He drives. He's going to hit the wall. And I wonder if we're going to have the safety car out. The safety car has been deployed. Well, that changes things a lot, because now Max Verstappen was coming up to Jackson. He won't have to lap him now. This is really going to jumble things up then. Lewis Hamilton in with a shout. Latifi's back on the road, so he obviously didn't hit the wall. And probably a bit overcautious by Michael Massey, but it makes sense, I guess. Ocon is just slowing to a stop here. And I think what Massey's saying here is, well, that was really fast from the Aston Martin. That's probably Stroll going by there. So technically we had Ocon off the road, and then we had the TV spin here. So I think, oh, it takes way too much cover. The rear tyres go, no thank you, not doing that. And well, that brings the safety car out then, and it's already picked up the race leader. Aiden Jackson is just about cleared it, I think. It would have waved on Jackson on by. So the question now is, where will the end of the snake end up? Perez is going to be right in the middle of that. But he's going to be in no position to aid Verstappen. And Schumacher in 14th place. Good effort by Schumacher today. George Russell 13th. Alfa Romeo getting a point for Antonio Giovinazzi. And the final appearance could be of the safety car. This could actually end on the safety car, maybe. Or we could have one more lap. Maybe. And I think what Michael Massey's sending it out for is there were two cars off the track. Latifi was sorting himself out and Ocon had to be... he came to a stop. And, well, it has kind of thrown a spanner in the works somewhat, but I think Verstappen is clearly quicker than Hamilton so far at this stage of the race. We've got 3 laps to go, so I think we're going to probably restart on lap 27 and have a 1-lap shootout to end the season. And that could be interesting. So no real pit stops being made here. In fact, we might even end this under the safety car, you know, because behind Vettel, there's a huge gap between him and Daniel Ricciardo's just caught up now. There he is. And then there's a 15-second gap to Lance Stroll. This might actually finish under the safety car because the end of the snake is not going to appear for some time. Well, interesting. How much of the grid is going to form behind Daniel Ricciardo? Let's have a look at some lap times here. So we're going to keep an eye on Lance Stroll, who's now 5 seconds behind Ricciardo. He's caught up now. Gasly wasn't too far behind, so Gasly will catch up. Then in 6 seconds to Giovinazzi, and then in another 11 seconds to Raikkonen. So I don't know if the race is going to finish under the safety car or not, because there's such huge gaps. I mean, Massey might let it go anyway and call the safety car in. And if he does, I don't know if that's even allowed. And once again, there's no unlapping yourselves, which there should be. Because after Mexico, I'm pretty sure the rules will be rectified next year to have lap cars unlap themselves, because then we avoid that carnage. So, Gasly is caught up now. And the safety car is in this lap. So, that's a strange decision. So, we are going to restart on lap 27. And not everyone has formed up. So, everyone behind Giovinazzi is going to gain absolutely nothing, because Michael Massey is calling the safety car in. I don't know if he's allowed to do that, quite frankly. I mean, the track is clear. Let's be fair here. The track is clear. I mean, Latifi didn't stop. Ocon did. So maybe they should have covered it under the virtual safety car in those 2 zones in particular. But here we go then. We're going to have 1 lap of racing. Bernd Mailander is bringing the safety car in. And it's going to be pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. In the words of George Morgan TV, roundabout now. There we go. There's the green flag, and we are racing again. And Max Verstappen has caught Lewis Hamilton napping. I don't know if that's allowed. I really don't. So, I think Raikkonen is caught up now. According to the interval, Raikkonen is still 8 seconds behind. What was with the end of the field going really slowly? I mean, Jackson's barely caught up to Schumacher, and then there's apparently, according to this graphic, a minute between Jackson and Perez. I'm pretty sure Perez is a lap down anyway. Well, Jackson on the TV now because the TV's past Perez. Well, there we go then. 2 laps of racing rather than 1. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's going to be much changing here. Hamilton and Max have already raced away from Sainz. It might be. I don't think there'll be DRS in this last lap. So that's going to be T20 because it's 2 laps after the safety car period. So it's going to finish as you were, and already Max Verstappen has broken DRS range of Lewis Hamilton. That just proves how powerful the Red Bull has been today. Max Verstappen has done an absolutely brilliant job, to be fair. He started 8th on the grid. He made the best tyre calls. Max Verstappen has absolutely nailed it. And it's going to be Red Bull's 5th win in a row then, as we cross the line for the penultimate time in F1 in 2021. We are on the final lap of the season, and Max Verstappen is absolutely racing away. Vintage Verstappen at Abu Dhabi, just like last year. And Carlos Sainz might get a very well-earned podium here if he can keep ahead of Lando Norris. There's going to be no DRS. And it pretty much is as you were. So the safety car didn't really throw the biggest spanner in the works then. Max Verstappen was just too quick for everyone. He did brilliantly. Red Bull have had the end of the season that should have been from the start. They definitely could have won in stereo, you could have argued. But by that time, Red Bull had already had a 45% retirement rate. But maybe, and we said this last year, maybe this could be a sign of things to come. But of course, we've got new regulations coming in, which will completely shake up the pack. And we won't have to wait too long now for that to happen. The countdown to 2022 begins as Max Verstappen comes round the final corner to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2021 in absolutely fantastic style. Max wins it, and he earned that one. The countdown to 2022 begins. Carlos Sainz is 3rd, followed by Lando Norris. Fernando Alonso, in what could be his final Grand Prix, finishes a great 5th place. And despite Antonio Giovinazzi scoring a point for Alfa Romeo, it's not enough. HAAS have finished 8th in the Constructors' Championship against the odds. Thanks solely to Aiden Jackson, to be fair. But Schumacher's definitely had the up on Jackson in the last few races. And that is it. HAAS have done it. And that could be vital money for next year. They'll be having a new cars come in for sure. Absolutely stallion drive by Max Verstappen. 8th on the grid. Absolutely thumped everyone today. Fernando Alonso goes from 5th as the honourable mention. And it's a win for Max Verstappen. And again, we say it. What could have been? And it's a crime that Red Bull weren't better this season. Reliability wise, it killed it. It killed the season off. They'll be hoping, and of course Honda are leaving us now, and Red Bull are on their own in the powertrain department, and well, let's just hope it's reliable. And Max was your winner from Lewis Hamilton, takes the fastest lap as well. And it's been a disappointing year for Red Bull. It should have been so much more for them. Antonio Giovinazzi's point is not enough to propel HAAS or displace HAAS of 8th place. They will take it at the last. Aiden Jackson's 28 points has proven to be enough. The 2 at France, the 1 in Silverstone, and the 25 that he took at Monza. Sergio Perez has been in the wars all day, with I think 4 stops for front wing changes. Ocon, Bottas and Tsunoda, your retirements for the final race of the year. So looking at the Drivers' Championship, Valtteri Bottas won it rather convincingly, to be fair. Max Verstappen finally got third after all his misfortune this season. He finally got third in the Constructors. And Jackson finishes 14th. Alonso is the last of the movers in P9 there, ahead of Pierre Gasly. And it's not been a bad all year for Alpine, has it? 75 for Alonso. Ocon's got a few points somewhere. I don't know where Ocon is. Jackson finished ahead of Ocon. He did. So I think of the new teams, Alpine have beaten Aston Martin. What an effort. Alfa Romeo, very poor. And Schumacher and Russell and Latifi are your non-scorers. But Latifi actually gets beaten by Schumacher because of his standing end of the season overall, I think. And he's been very level with Latifi all season long, to be fair. Mercedes take it by a postcode, 167 points, followed by Red Bull and Ferrari, and no movers in the constructors' standings, but Alfa Romeo do get the extra point. Williams sadly end the year on 0. Ferrari have definitely been the dark horses of the year, but no one was catching Mercedes' collective ultra wide gap between them and Red Bull. After all their reliability woes, they still finished second, amazingly. Ferrari probably deserving a little bit more. So the countdown to 2022 begins with just over 100 days or so until the break of a new dawn and a new era in Formula 1. And as we sign off for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for the final time in 2021, it has been an absolute honour to bring to you a fantastic Formula 1 season. And we leave you with a great quote from the great Murray Walker. It doesn't feel like work at all. Rest in peace, Murray, and we will see you to do it all again next season. This is the 7 Chaos, signing off.
For so long I was living my life, oh so wrong, always numb in my mind, battled on, building scars from the knife, so far gone, I was blind. So now that I found what I was looking for, I'm shining a light on the dark that I was coming from. It never brought me down to my knees, where it wanted me to be. Turn on the love for myself, go all down. See me for me.
Oh my word! Side by side for about 3 corners, Jackson is holding it in, he's fighting so hard! Line, but then absolutely sent it into turn 1. Oh my word! Aiden Jackson absolutely sent it! Carlos Sainz has won the French Grand Prix! Oh my word, vamos! Aiden Jackson has scored his first point, Lando Norris wins! The Styrian Grand Prix! That's Bottas is into the mid. Oh my goodness! There's contact there! Aiden Jackson gets a point!
So now that I found what I was looking for,
And he's in split! Oh my wall! Oh my goodness me! Perez has been into the wall! Jackson's down the inside! And it's an intake for Bottas is where he is! Oh, Verstappen! Verstappen is out! Verstappen has crashed in! Aiden Jackson wins! The Italian Grand Prix! And now we wait for 5 seconds for Valtteri Bottas to become the 2021 champion of the world. Valtteri Bottas wins his first Drivers' World Championship. And Norris isn't done. He's in a threat to deal between the two Mercedes. Oh my word! Is he going to make it? Yes, he is. Oh my goodness!